Alright then, let's get back to it. And I mean, last time we induced a panic attack. But this time, we're back here. I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know, I inquired with a bailiff after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover. Right. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark? I wonder. Runo! Oh, Iris. You were miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came back out of the courtroom, back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of the Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley is always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him. That's so true. But that's what I like about Hurley, after all. I suppose that's a lot of great detective in some ways. So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline. You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zeeks definitely didn't do it. Like, how goody. Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know, I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. I almost forgot. Okay, still the same one. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zeeks has to be innocent, you see. What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out. work out just by examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious. There's still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zeeks, though, aren't there? Do you mean... I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the Inspector's secret office. Ooh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this. Oh dear, it sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. I never imagined I had to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, so you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas Inspector was supposed to be investigating. I feel it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the Inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my! Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It appeared that the Inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips. If they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zeeks felt the need to investigate Gregson, yes, I agree. We must try and find out what he knows. Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband. Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one? Ah, it's St. Sinner's. I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. It's amazing, Runa, you found the lady's husband already. Well, I suppose I have, by accident. And 10 years ago, when Mr. Vigil was the chief warder of the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No. So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be a stand-in, to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregson, but why? I have absolutely no idea. Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Runa. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me! That means he has ties to the professor and Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Back to St. Sinner's, then. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson's shooting iron will soon set them straight. That water pistol is stuff full of piping hot extra special blend of mine. I'm quite sure it'll be very effective. I'd better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still, let's go see what we can find out. Alright then. Well, I guess let's go to Mr. Vigil's hospital bed. Oh. These must be the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Tendency to jump from windows. Remember to place cushion at face of wall outside. Aren't we a story not from the ground here? Oh dear. Poor Mr. Vigil. Can't help feeling that there's a better solution to that problem than a cushion, though. Finding something you lost isn't always a happy experience, it turns out. Pursuing the truth can be a very dark business. Sometimes, can it? Yes, I'm afraid it can. This notice caught my eye before, actually. A cheerful welcome message, perhaps. Let's see. Pay with good cheer, leave with good cheer. Well, look at that. You're spot on, Mr. Zeta's full of cheer. I wonder how many discharged patients pay their medical bills with good cheer, though. Once I had to have a very painful injection when I felt ill with a cold. I felt awful already, so why did I have to suffer the sting of the injection as well as the bill? I yelled at the doctor. Oh dear. What terrible treatment. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look, I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this. Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try some of the pills. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine you would stop if you were hungry. I worry that you break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Sato. Ah, patient treatment notes. What do these say, I wonder? Endlessly obliging. I suppose that's referring to the patient in this bed. I would think so, and until Mr. Vigil is a little more stable. It's probably... Well, he has this kindly person in the neighboring bed. The endlessly part is a little worrying, though, isn't it? I mean, what if Mr. Vigil suddenly declared, "No, I trick it out the window"? What if his endlessly obliging patient simply open it for him and say, "Be my guest"? Let's check with the doctor later. Oh look, a pair of crutches. Before we came to Britain, I hadn't realized they were used here as well. I imagine they were imported into Japan from Great Britain in the first place. Oh, so no one in all of Japan broke a leg before their arrival. Anyway, the sight of these things doesn't bring back good memories for me. Oh dear, did you injure yourself once and need to use some? When I was little, though, they looked fun, so I borrowed a pair to play with. But then I slipped and sprained my ankle. Then you actually needed them. I see. They contain powerful magic, those wooden staffs. The power to heal, and the power to harm! I think a certain cheeky little boy managed to cause the harm all by himself. There are lots of bottles in that cabinet there, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them there? If you were a patient here, I feel sure you would take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinets has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. Oh, I had no doubt you managed to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well. There are limits to even what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mrs. Sato. Okay, I guess we'll have to come back here later. Why don't we go to Fresno Street then? Okay, so this place is still being investigated. I never imagined that this little figurine would turn out to be a watch, wine, and key. I suppose it's a policeman because the pocket watch was a gift from Scotland Yard. It seemed there was much more to Inspector Gregson than we ever realized. He was clearly a brilliant man. It's sufficient shifts that threw us off. I feel as though it ruined his image. I really don't think we should blame one of Britain's staple cuisines. But think about it. Imagine if it was Mr. Sholmes. How would you feel if instead of the old briar pipe, That's no, in his hand. It makes a strong side of a bag of chips. Rather disappointed, if I'm honest. Exactly. This revolver, just who did it belong to? Well, we know this type of issued to members of the police force and judiciary, but Gregson's own gun was found on his person. And of course, Lord Van Zeeks had admitted to losing the firearm with which he was issued. Such absent-mindedness. No, not dissimilar to you, Mr. Naruto. I'm starting to think the cold hard prosecutor and I could become friends after all. Then I wish you every success. It catches your eye as soon as you enter the room, doesn't it? It's such a bright color. It certainly makes an impression, yes. They can't possibly commit any crimes, can they? I mean, redheads stand out like a sore thumb. I'm afraid with our jet black Japanese hair, we'd stand out almost as much here in London. I suppose that's true. You mustn't think of committing any crimes, Mr. Naruto. I wasn't! Using a candle as a timer device. Very ingenious, I must say. Yes, the culprit arranged it so that the firecracker would be set off at 5 o'clock, and then left. So that a loud bang was heard at precisely the moment Lord Van Zeeks arrived, yes. If only he hadn't picked up the gun from the floor. Something you probably told yourself once upon a time, I imagine? Yes, I've learned that lesson by bitter experience. I would have turned and run a mile for sure. Which may not have done you any favors either. Yeah... If it turns out that Gregson didn't actually die in here at all, where on earth would he have been killed? Well, one way or another, we must find out. For the inspector's sake. You know, you look awfully pale again today, Mr. Naruto. Sorry. When I start thinking it all through, I conjure up some horrible images in my mind. Your imagination is a culprit here, then. Most certainly guilty. The photograph of Mrs. Vigil. Realizing the identity of this lady was a great clue to exposing Mr. Gossip's true identity. He obviously loved his wife very dearly, which is why he felt he couldn't tell her the truth. The transformation was incredible, wasn't it? Just from that big twisted lip. Yes, he went from extraordinary efforts to play the part of Hugh Boone convincingly, although it didn't really seem like there was much of an effort to me. Now you say it, I have to agree. It's almost as if it was Mr. Vigil's true character. People really are hard to fathom at times. There are details of cases stretching back over 10 years on this notice board. Yes, a history of Lord Van Zeeg's defeats in court. I don't think that's an appropriate description. Although, when you consider everything on the board, it's certainly true that all these people had a background of dubious dealings. And in the end, of course, the board itself could steal the inspector's own death. Oh my, it really doesn't bear thinking about. Well, I guess let's go to prison. Hey there, well, there's the man of the hour. Lord Van Zeeks is reading, look. He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he? But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. What do you DPDs want? That's no way to greet a lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruto? What the frick? Lord Van Zeek speaking earnestly! What the heck is going on? The fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow. This does feel very strange. I must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see. Yes. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part? You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you're the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crimes that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day, and that was the most recent in many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. The whole organization? It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. Excuse me, I gotta clean my glasses. So that you can't mean it's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson. No! Gregson, the Reaper? So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. Holy cow. I don't believe it. Are you saying that that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting their... Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. Oh? He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi, which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Frozen Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So don't actually know who carried out the killings then. Actually, I do have a name. You... what? Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already then. Or, if I can name the woman. Oh? She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shin. Wait, what? Shin? Miss Asa Shin, Giselle Brett. Like, the true name of a terrified killer I know only too well. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, she was murdered. The mysterious woman herself was murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? But that doesn't make any sense. Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss... No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson... Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father! That's a Shin. I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. But... she was murdered. How could she... Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asuki. He said he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded him of his father. Genshin Asuki, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics and economics, in war. In many ways, Asuki was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zyke's was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damned Lebanese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. Huh? He saved your life? How'd that happen? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Van Zyke's had already been killed at this point then. Genshin and I were walking down the back streets at the late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden... Don't make a peek, you're coming with us. We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I had been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Van Zyke's already. We got him. I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. They knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time has come, if I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was Asuki's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. Next thing I knew, there was silence all about. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He shielded me. 2 days later, they arrested him, on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor. How awful for you. All at once, I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zyke's. But why would he... That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and the Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe it that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett. Mr. Naruto, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Yes, alright. Let's go head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Alright. It's just something I was hoping to ask your opinion about, that's all. It's a serious crime for the defense, to attempt to extract information from the prosecution by illegal means. I think I have more of a defense and a client relationship now, don't we? And does it say anything differently? Oh, no, never mind. Alright. Yeah. Great Waterloo Hotel, let's go. I flight yesterday and And I think again today that this place is so princely. It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'd think the same tomorrow too. My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in that tea room here, though, wouldn't you say? Ah, look what we have here. It's unexpected pleasure. Ah, hey! Hey, Mr. Dad Guy. Father, ooh, is it Mr. Daddy's movie? How lovely! What a charming young lady. And you are... Ah, really? So you're the author of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, are you? That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. See, you've been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know? Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father. Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eyes. Oh, that's adorable. You wouldn't be smiling so early if you knew just how bright she is, believe me! Now then, young Naruto, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the Synopsium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery after I twisted some arms. And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh, well, thank you very much. Oh, though I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma on the end there. No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me. Really? Really? You didn't miss a step against Oski. And we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say. It's really nice to hear. What I saw in court today confirmed what I've been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruto, I trust you haven't forgotten. Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, Father. Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where Judge Jigoku has got to. No. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge. Right, he didn't appear until after that case, when the visiting students had already returned home. Lord Van Zeeks, who was in the dock today, that was Barrack, the younger brother of Clint Van Zeeks, I believe. That's right, he's known through the London as the Reaper, as you've heard, but the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious steps, it was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here? Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact. I beg your pardon. Did you say Asa Shin? Do you mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend? Oh no, a friend of yours was killed? Professor Mikitoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor was talking about is John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this anyway. I just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits. That was rather out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately. I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh, yes! You just try to leave me behind. Hey, well, that works. So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she? Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yume University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I could say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure. That's what we thought, yes. We're back! With cinnamon biscuits! Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris. I think cinnamon will go very well with tea when they serve it, don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris. Where's the judge? I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while. Have you? Guilty! That guilty is still ringing in my ears. No, now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the Synopsium's opening was his phone, he had gone up to explore the Great Exhibition. That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday about Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself. Yes, it was all tied up with that accursed trial, the close trial of Kazuma's father. Seixiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify, but he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. Seriously? Seriously? Oh my! He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire for which he was charged. Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted, and we returned home to Japan together. Thank goodness. Yes, talking of Seixiro, I have a copy of the photograph we took together here yesterday. Please. Oh, what a lovely picture. It certainly seems to show we've arrived in Britain. This is going to be very important, isn't it? It's going to be really important. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? No, that's so true. So, you mentioned a favor you'd like to ask me. Can we not be interrupted this time? Well, this fateful trial you're fighting. One way or another, it will be over before long. And what it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. What? You want me to... What? Father, what's the meaning of this? Now, Sasato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is at its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible, really quite urgently, in fact. But I've not even been in London for a year yet. I've read all of Susano's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. So, you believe then, you know? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? You came here to serve as Asabi's judicial assistant. Oh, yes, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation, though. You've always chosen your own path, Sato, and I trust your judgment in this matter also. Father! Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand. A hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it, and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yes, alright. Will you know? The thought hasn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me? Well, if you excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and Japanese police with this information about Asa Shin. Of course, Father. Thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh, good, and please do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Miss Nahoto. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home. You know, Cosmo-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all this. Yes, no doubt. Asa Shin. Of course, it's so obvious. How could I have neglected to consider that possibility before now? Mr. Schultz, Hurley, where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns, Mr. Nahoto. Oh, yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well... My father has just now left and sent a telegram to Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow. I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. It's not a moment to lose. Ask your kindly unshaven father to see this sent. I will. But what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Mr. Sato. All we could do is pray that for once my deduction is awry. Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly. Now then! You may be surprised to learn that I'm a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So that's what joining us for tea meant. I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows. And he disappeared. Wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes. He sort of just ran off, didn't he? Find a pace, and left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too. I must catch up with father at the telegraph office, at once. And I'll run and call us a cab, right away. And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Shum's bill. Oh, we don't have it. I really want to know what that note is. Let's go back to legal consultancy and check on that shovel. And the shovel is still... Okay, we've already done the shovel. Okay. I guess let's check on Chief Justice. Oh. Plasma. No arguments, Professor Asagi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama, defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asagi. My lord. Kazuma. He left without saying a word. Yes, what are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zeke's trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asagi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time.
Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 3... And then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruto. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes? Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Does Prosecutor Oski believe that Lord Van Zieks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zieks made a name for himself among the judiciary, but the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. That's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. And people believe Lord Van Zieks was responsible? Thanks for the host, Wolf Boy. How's it going? And people believe Lord Van Zieks was responsible? He brought the trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Yeah. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's closed trial? Precisely. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years, so the last one was a professor's, the trial of Genjitsuki. Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are 10 years later, with the son of the man Van Zieks had condemned now, looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. And Cosma is? I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what all these gears are in here. If that young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What do you mean? Not something to which you need to concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Oh boy. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time. And I hold you entirely responsible. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything in not even 5 minutes? I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asagi. Discussions between the defense and prosecution outside the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Let's go see him at once. Mr. Naruto. Cosmo's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Yeah. Prosecutor's office, let's go. So, this is the office of Prosecutor Asagi now, is it? Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor Japanese style and that dark corner. But just have it to say to style whenever he's working. Kazuma. I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryunosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? But you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for 1 second that it would be as a prosecutor. Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom, so gallantly realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you. And I am truly thankful to you, Judicial Assistant Ikitoba. Ryunosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learned a lot of things during my time in London about how Sasada-san's father was himself a visiting student here and once, along with Judge Shigoku, and about what happened with your father. Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice, why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish. Ryunosuke Naruto. Kazuma, this is your armband. Actually, I think it's yours now. Sorry? You're the defense lawyer. You have the talent for it. I've always known that you would. And now you've chosen to take that path in your life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you. Or more proud. Kazuma, so you keep hold of that. Besides, I'm a prosecutor now. That armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure... Thank you, my friend. There's Lord Van Zeke's incredibly stylish desk. It's not my style, though. No, I noticed you've been working at the little table on the floor, kneeling down Seiza style. I thought it was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Van Zeke's when I first saw it. I find it the most comfortable way to work. I can't do it. After a couple of minutes of sitting with my legs forward under me, they start to get tingly. Don't exaggerate, Ryunosuke. We both know you can't even manage a minute. Ow! Lord Van Zeke's fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles, all neatly lined up. Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regime for everything, from the storage of the casks to the bottling of their contents. Gosh, he must be having a really tough time of it being his apprentice. Actually, no. Oh, he's so particular about it all, he refuses to let anybody else touch any of it. So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. Talk about weird. What the? It's a scale model of the crime scene. Oh, yes, I realized that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case? Apparently so. Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you hadn't spotted before. Actually, the miniature nose board is my work. Be honest, you enjoyed making that. Do you know who the man in the portrait is? It's Clint. That has to be Clint. Why would I? What? Oh, but you're Lord Van Zeke's apprentice. Yes, apprentice, not friend. And during the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice that picture. Oh, really? I mean, it's not the smallest picture. I wouldn't have the first idea what the man decorates his office with. Really? The cask floor to ceiling, just like the last time we were here. Hallowed barrels, I suppose. They're arranged according to vintage, flavor, and region. Every week they're all taken and put back in order. What? Every week? Lord Van Zieks can't seem to settle on the perfect way of arranging them, you see. Vintage, flavor, and region don't neatly coincide. That's the trouble. Gosh, being his apprentice must be a real challenge. Actually, no. Huh? He considers the task too important to entrust to anybody else, so he does entirely on his own. He must be really OCD about, like, I, he probably does, like, suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder. So he's a barrel of laughs here in court then. Why are there two bats up there? Ah! You disturbed the bats, did you? Fitting companion to Lord Van Zieks, would you say? Actually, I've seen things flying in Lord Strongheart's office too. Doves, I think. Perhaps you have to like birds to attain the rank of judiciary here. Though bats aren't birds, of course. How about a sparrow for you? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Sorry. Just thinking out loud. Oops. Okay. So, yeah. It's getting on for a year now. Since what happened on the SS Beria. We were heading across the ocean from Japan to Great Britain when a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I'd lost my best friend forever. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yes, I didn't know what had happened or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something to do, something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain, your task awaits there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large port. It must have been Hong Kong. Yes, it must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have a feeling that this was in some way my last chance. So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so to plan my onward journey to Great Britain. Just under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me, the sights, the sounds, the smells, my head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realized now that I had escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course. Oh, terrifying for you. Luckily, though, I had two feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose. That's right. And on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been 3 months ago now. Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and literally had nothing to his name, but he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. Of course, I had no idea why I'd moved heaven and earth to get here at that point. So how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zieks' apprentice then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard, and by sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play. Would that have been your knowledge of the law? Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of the British law. He took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then 9 days ago, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Trevor. Yes, I did. Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke. I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago, when my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together that day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called our family at home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikotoba, your father's Susato son. Oh my. Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. He even helped me fund my university education at Yume. I'll forever be in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he told me. Oh. Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it, assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the ASCII name. Oh no. As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Presumably the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. If whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. The letters revealed that my father had been sentenced to death and was executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. But anyone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing? There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree. What did my father have to say about the letter? I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me. By the time my father was taken by the fatal illness, that couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jigoku, to the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest moment, but then he just laughed the letter off. But in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his poise. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to a strain of grief, and she too passed away. That's when I made up my mind that one day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself. The truth about my father, Genshin Asagi, and I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way. Oh, Kazuma-sama. What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It wasn't an impressive piece of lawyering Yunosuke Naruto. Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Frederick Gregson himself, the victim, was... It's clear that the inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What? You mean you knew? The real question is, who's been giving orders to the inspector? Yes, Barrack Von Zeeks is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago, it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him off to his grave. No, he was merely saying that justice was done as the law dictates. It's not to blame. Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool that they use to do it. And when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life. Kazuma, on the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Kazuma, what do you make of this? There's only one place for defense lawyers and prosecutors to discuss evidence, the courtroom. So it seems you're still confused by the situation. That's what I make of it. I get the feeling my friend's always going to have the edge over me, isn't he? We talked to him about everything, so... This is the word when Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. The lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm so sorry to have caused you to... I mean, it was because of me. I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you obviously try to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. You dismissed him. Oh, Cosmo beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please, don't think like that. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident after all. He compensated me so generously for acting as a stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along then. I'm sure this is just dessert for 10 years of lies and deception, but it wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me! I swear it! I swear it's true! Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. He needs therapy, man. He needs help. Mr. Vigil, would you mind casting your eyes over this? My head. It's throbbing. Oh no. It's too soon to know how to. It's too much for him. It's too much for me to even seeing him strewn like that. Maybe I should lay off the evidence for a while. Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. Details of the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. He pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf. Oh no, never! A common street peasant couldn't possibly carry out a police investigation. All I would do was go to the special society location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here. So, that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident. Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League. So basically, yeah, an alibi. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yes, so you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification generally being bowed? That's what Inspector asked me to do, yes. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. And as you know, I suffered this bruising along the neck by their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me. Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however. We had arranged to meet in Fresno Street at room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on 17th June, 10 years ago. That's what the time schedule for the execution. Or the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to affect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. Berkeley was renowned for being the highest security prison in the world, country. Everything that went on in or out of place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, on one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned. I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct? Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin. The body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. Chief Warder first had to sign the proper necessary papers. After that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. No! I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So, you mean the coffin contained... Yes, I can only imagine that Asagi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out of the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery. Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long. Yeah, so in the early hours following the burial, someone dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free. But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder? I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Atsuki couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help with somebody working in the prison. Yeah, you can't really dig out of a coffin, like, because the dirt would keep the lid shut. So, someone had to help, like, and that somebody was not me. Either he just doesn't remember, or he really didn't do it. Obviously, you knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asagi. Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death, he was... Any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After the trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? There was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in his cells until it was his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible? I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life. Yes. The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something unusual. Something unusual? What? The last will and testament of Genshin Asagi. His will? But what? As I said, it was on the night following his trial after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked at the Asagi's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. His last will and testament, then, presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yes, that's true, but there were special conditions to Asagi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception. Really, he wasn't allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned? To the personal effects he was allowed. And that's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or papers. So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what happened to him. Yes, that was the long and short of it. I have no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. Why did you just hide behind your back? Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But you know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet... Alright then. What's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. But what was on that will? How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd see nothing and let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without trace. What? What do you mean? It vanished. It would seem that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will. It was the only person I was the only person who saw Asagi's will, but somehow it disappeared. It was after Asagi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Asagi's possessions and were in his cell. They were all sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. To poor Kazuma-sama. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects? The will, I mean. That's right. Though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Kaiden was livid. He was screaming, "It cannot have disappeared completely!" That doesn't quite make sense, though. Does it? In what way? Well, we understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Oh yes, you're right! I really don't know how he knew, but it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Asagi papers. The Asagi papers? I really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened. Your dismissal and the way you blocked it all from your memory. I've forgotten all of this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. Oh boy. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife, Evie, will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but... No, not at all. Thank you for again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil. Ah! Before you go, there's just one thing. Oh, yes? What is it? The Yasuki papers. I'd be very grateful if you make no mention of things I told you about them, presumably for some good reason. It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. I understand. Okay. Some sort of will that Genshin Yasugi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder, perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know about a document that Cosmo's father left behind, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Then we know precisely where we must go, back to Barclay Prison. Well, at least he seems to be on the mend. You know, his disguise as Mr. Gossip was really quite masterful, wasn't it? I can't remember anything about it except for the floppy lip. I imagine not even his wife would have recognized him. Perhaps, but he really did have to take it off quite... Did he have to take it quite so far? Well, I guess we're going back to the prisoner governor's office. But we're not supposed to talk about the papers, so...
Ah, back again, are ya?
Yes. Hello.
I've heard about all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found them, eh? Vigil.
Yes, luckily.
Well, anywho, the laddie doesn't work anymore, so your case is nothing to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to get the wrong idea about that.
Of course, yes. And Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so... Yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was given the chop.
Aye, Kimma, you can very well. So, how about we handcuff Biscuit?
Oh, are these really like little handcuffs? And are as hard as iron too?
So, what about you doing here today?
Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually.
Is that so?
We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Asuki's cell. I think it's been called the Asuki Papers or something?
Did I not say Gregson's death has nothing to do with that might have happened at Barclay? Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not fool around about with irrelevant details.
His expression changed completely. We're clearly onto something here.
That murderous botched execution and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hour, a shocking embarrassment.
Because the convict had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean?
Aye, for shame. The coroner who confirmed the death of the man after his execution caught his side, and my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair.
But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it.
The rascal wouldn't I say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs?
Oh, how could I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. When Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened, he was so despairing, he jumped out of your office window, didn't he? I didn't like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you think he wouldn't have jumped from the shock of his crime being exposed, eh? I do. You wouldn't say otherwise, though, would you? Of course I can. I shouldn't. All responsibility myself. I shouldn't have let him deceive me. Actually, if barely anyone that kens what went on at the time now, with Gregan having been murdered and Dr. Side forbidden from having any visitors. No visitors. Someone obviously doesn't want her giving anything away. Well, we're not going home empty-handed. And I wouldn't dream of you sending you packing with not Kimmer. Yeah, take a handcuff or two. Oh, well, it would be rude to say no, but wouldn't want to become anemic. I suppose if there's anybody who might still kind of put what had happened back then, it'd be that lass from the forensic division, Maria Gori. Maria Gori? Aye, Slight's daughter. She and I have no more, just the one. But they were Byron's followed her in her mom's footsteps. Yet didn't I ever want to see without her? You didn't want to see her without a scalpel in her hand. Yeah, the girl with the mask on. Mama, what is this? Where did she spring from? And did you just call the doctor Mama? Yep. But besides daughter, Maria Gori, we could do with talking to her. So she's Dr. Slight's daughter, but her surname is Gori? Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure, but I can't the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her mom working with the bodies of folk who died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I can't understand it myself. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother. Perhaps. Anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her mom's stories about cleaning up bodies. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. Well then, perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago. Aye, I'd say there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. We really need to speak with Miss Gore herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm no happy about any part of this. It took years for Londoners to finally forget about the whole for best of business. Can you not give up on this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry, I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you not just stay away now? Can't leave me alone at dinner. Did not come back here again. How do you become a bother about that, laddie? There's not many folk even here in the prison who've heard of those papers. Well, I can't tell what Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe that the papers are actually a last will and testament. Is that right? The professors, or rather, it's Genshin Asagi's. Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? But then after the convict execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? Heavens no, you're also half-cocked there. I think you did not quite get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what we've heard elsewhere. Let me just have a wee hook around here. Obviously we can find it. Aye, here you are. See? The last will and testament of Genshin Asagi, written with a calligraphy brush. Of course, I cannot read a word of those Japanese squiggles, but I mind if it said. But I mind it says he always really paid attention to his son back in his homeland. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asagi papers.
Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Osugi. My doubt about it. No doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your lot. After all the strumash of it that sliced in of an execution, he sent the man's possession back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it.
I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruto, just in case. I think we might need to talk.
One thing before you're on your way, Mr. Naruto.
Yes?
Those papers are not to do with Greggson's death. I prefer it if he didn't make no mention of them outside this office, or rather, I wouldn't not just consider it an order from the highest levels of government.
I understand. Well... and that knowledge that I will never see my home but I will forget nothing about my chosen path. Kazuma, what do you make of this? Oh! Okay, I guess we're not supposed to show these to him. Did you ever look at this? Ugh, wouldn't I rather have a wee handbook cup biscuit? Oh, no, thanks. I'd rather you just cast your eyes over this.
Or maybe you prefer real handcuffs, eh?
No, please. Lovely offers, though. Okay, I guess, well... Where to go now, though? Are you alright, Mr. Naruto? It's rather unusual to find ourselves here in the middle of our investigations. It's just occurred to me that I might have forgotten something what we left this morning. Please don't worry, as long as you continue to investigate thoroughly, you won't go far wrong. Oh, yes, of course, I must get back to work as soon as possible. That helps a lot, really. That helps so much. Maybe we should show these to him? What's that? It's just an elf. Okay. Okay, Sholmes is not here. Okay, I'm guessing we have to show him something. Ah. I mean, we need to. We need to see Gory. But we don't really have anywhere to. We don't really have any way to. Well, I have no idea where to go, so. Let's just see what happens. Huh. This came up on the trial, didn't it? As something a little dubious, I mean. Okay, I mean, that actually helps a little bit to get an idea of where to go. This came up a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was reported on Inspector Greggson's autopsy report. Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died at the previous day at some other location is quite something. Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped... They had stopped and the scorch marks in the candle... It's certainly a distinct possibility the event, evidence, and the scene both point to it. To be honest, it bothered me too. So I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. Dr. Gory. Yeah. That's the second time we've heard that name too. If it wouldn't trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner too. Of course. The last thing I want is for anything to be brushed over under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory is behind Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery? By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? The prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life. Kazuma-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today. Ryunosuke, I want to thank you. But what for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Yasuki clan. Well, it's a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. It's my only sort of regret is that I never got a chance to draw it before I returned it to you. Kanama is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This blade, Kadama, is a symbol of the Yasuki clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname. Really, Kadama? It does sound formidable, that's for sure. 16 years ago, when my father was visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side. Which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. And that is all thanks to you. It was an honor. Now, I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma, you've changed. No, Ryunosuke. I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed. I can completely understand your resentment towards Van Zeeks, given what had happened, but the fact is, those events in this case are, well, unrelated. Is that what you wanted to say? How could you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow, by whatever means necessary. I can't let you do that, Kazuma. I I know you'll do what you have to as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow then, Emil Bailey. Alright then. Forensic laboratory, let's go. Well, let's see this. Oh, what the heck? This place looks a little more cheerful now. If not a bit spookier. This place is really creepy, isn't it? Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of spirits of the dissected. But dissected. Well, actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, its corner probably needs a bold scent like that to mask the odor of death. Iris, do you think we could change the subject? What was that? Oh my gosh. Are those bunny ears? Dr. Gory? What? That noise before I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. Right. When following the collagen fibers of in the dermis and an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration? Oh, yes please, I'd love to see. Then I think you'll do nicely. Huh? No, I would do nicely at all. I mean, maybe some other time. Is that a tut? Well, we came here to ask questions, so... she's gonna ask you if she can chop this up, isn't she? Could I ask your opinion about this? Don't forget, you're responsible for putting my mama in jail. Why should I help you? Fair enough. Okay, there's a lot to unpack in this room. This looks different to before. Of course, Mr. Naruto. Miss Gory is a young maiden. She has all sorts of charming little dolls in the like around her place at work. Look. Oh yes, you're right. Perhaps she's not so strange after all. They're how I practice. Sorry? Mom always says that operations at dissection requires speed and accuracy, so I take out my needle and thread and stitch 3 new dolls every day. Oh, right. I used to make livers or kidneys or intestines, but Mama told me to make something more friendly instead. That's quite different from what I imagined. Oh, look at this. What a magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to high sheen. Intricate carving is a joy to behold. Western cabinet makers are very skilled, aren't they? It's 10 people. Pardon? It's made from bones of 10 different people, all mixed together. It's not my best work. I was admiring the case, actually. The scary skeleton inside is something I intend to ignore as best I can. You're strange. I wonder who is the strangest. Look at the bottles on the shelves of the cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals. These ones here are labeled highly toxic. That's worrying because there are things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there. Oh yes, and they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor's probably spent a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she needs meals in here sometimes. Life goes on even when you're surrounded by death. Okay, I guess we might as well... Do I dare... I wonder. Make... She's 19. Jeez. We have actually met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember. You're not dead yet. What? So Mama said I wasn't to cut you open.
She's so strict about things like that.
Well, good. Dr. Syed has some scruples at least. Oh dear. It looks like she's not interested in talking to us for the time being anyway. For the time being? You mean until we die? Or we hope way off? Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Surely there's some less drastic way of masking her listen. Or making her listen. Okay, let's see. About this photograph, Dr. Gory...
Who's that?
Sorry? It's Inspector Gregson, of course, the victim of the case.
Ah, I see. I don't remember the faces. Internal organs, muscle tissue, bullet trauma, those are things I remember.
Well, please try and also remember that I don't want to know anything about all that. Okay, let's see who... Great, we actually came to ask you about this.
He was very good.
Good? Sorry?
His skin didn't snag my blade once, and was very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissues was a very pleasure to work with.
But we can skip those details.
But there's one thing about the report that actually caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death.
That's not my fault.
Oh, that made me jump. Then please, tell us what happened. So, why doesn't this autopsy report include the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail.
I was told not to write it.
What? By whom?
Mal Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here.
Lord Strongheart came?
He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and the other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on 1st November, when the gunshot was heard.
But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Dr. Gory, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later you're going to go to the same way as your mother.
Give it here, then.
Huh? What's she scribbling so furiously?
There.
You've written... What's she written? Tell us.
Indeterminate.
But... What? Okay, so... What do you mean by that? Why is the time of death indeterminate?
When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh, so the time of death could easily have coincided with when the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy.
What discrepancy?
There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat, and that fish had started to rot.
What?
If the victim liked fresh fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off.
Well, yes. What are you really trying to say?
It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death.
Manipulate the... Is that even possible to do?
Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time, then only the fish would have started to rot. With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not, but today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems.
But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. I don't imagine many households in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not. But maybe in a factory or some other special places. I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. I wonder, if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow, what might the actual time of death have been?
I couldn't say for sure, but at most it might have been a day earlier.
No. It would corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruto. That Inspector Gregson was killed a day before his body was discovered. At a different location. Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility? He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators that size in the vicinity. Oh yes, one other thing. It's something that Governor Berkeley Prison told us. He said that your mother, Dr. Scythe, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution. The professor... Apparently you always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago. That's not all Mama did. Sorry? My mama carried out the autopsy of Clit Van Zykes as well. What? Really? The daughter of Lord Van Zykes, the professor's final victim. The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. But the detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. The detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man. That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room. The professor and Clinton Van Zykes, or Zeeks. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you'd tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Corey. The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Berkeley Prison's execution chamber and sign the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama is the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her. But the execution didn't actually take place. No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know. Dear, you found out recently, did you mean? I believed in her, Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting on the same path as her. You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report, but that's because our Strongheart forbade you from excluding it. Just like Mama, I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too. Yes, that's my feeling as well. There's no doubt that there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been in on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs? According to what he told us, he was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I'd say the same thing. Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? You mentioned the autopsy of Clinton Van Zykes. It was at a time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country even now. It turned out that he was a professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as a secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy! And there was one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Wait, a visiting student? It must have been my father, Eugene Mikitoba. I had no idea Professor Mikitoba had been involved in something so important. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. So that's how they came to identify Genshin Asabi as the infamous mass murderer. Do you happen to know what was about that piece of evidence? Could you tell us any more? Please? Would you like to see the records for yourself? What? Would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed under V at the back of the cupboards, with the other records from the last decade. Thank you. Let's see. Van Zeeks. That's strange. What, Mr. Naruto? They aren't here. There's nothing under Van Zeeks. There must be. Perhaps somebody took them away? No one's allowed to take documents related to the professor's case out of this room. But you're right, they're gone. Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember? It was... Oh yes, I remember now. It was 2 years ago. The consulting detective came one day, saying that he'd like to see the records. Sholmes? Yo, you don't mean... Paradox Sholmes was his name. Deep down, I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Oh no, surely not. Iris, that can't be right. Can it? We have to confront him. Iris? Bruno. I hope you don't mind, but... What is it, Iris? I just remembered something very important I had to do. I have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh, no. There's no need. You and Bruno can take your time here. Bye for now, then. Good luck. And she's out. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago, when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too. That's the way it usually works, yes. Iris? Was I? I don't really remember. Anyway, sorry. But I must dash. Wait, Iris. I'll brew up a pot when we get home. Iris? What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strange all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. Thank you for your time. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really quite fun. Next time you come, I prefer it if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises! Sorry! It's a bit strange that the records of Clint Van Zeke's autopsy have disappeared. But I think we've asked all we came to ask now. Let's have a closer look at this. And again, let's not. At least not while she's armed. Let's get back to the suite. Let's see if... Iris? Well, while we're here, we might as well. Ah! Ah, look, we have an opportunity here now. While the governor is away. So now how to, you could be a prisoner if you were caught. And that's a good point. Perhaps not then. Seriously? Seriously. And he is not here. What? What the heck? What's a green box? Police are still busily investigating here then. But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she? Yes, it's been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing what her boss taught her. Well, I expect she should be back before too long. Shall I wait? Actually... Yeah, please, let us know. There's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there? We can always use time to investigate more thoroughly. Yeah, something quite obvious. This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. It must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs. There's some initials on the outside. Look. T.G. Tobias Gregson. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came to be here. Oi! What do you think you're doing? It's my trunk, that is. Hands off. Gina. But where are you hiding? I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got it. His greedy eyes on it. Just a wild guess, Gina. But what? Spit it out, Otto. Is it fair to say that you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always as where you've been the last year. Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. Whee. You should hear them talking in the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers. Oh, you mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently, the boss was investigating some stuff that no one else in the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with the criminals who got off scot-free. Not free. Yes, only the one prosecuted by Lord Van Zeeks who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. Well, then obviously it was the Blue and Reaper giving it the orders, weren't it? But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details of all the crimes that have been pegged as the Reaper's work. What? No. Did you see it, Gina? Did you see the notebook? They wouldn't flaming let me. Although I'm just an apprentice apparently. But it was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I'm pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Oh, that's our Gina. So, you managed to see what was written in Dragon's secret notebook anyway, did you? The way I see it, it's my right to read what he wrote. And what he had written, Gina. Dates, times, places, names, and no long list of them. All details of the bludgeons supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. But there could be an exception for that. Perhaps it was a record of the Inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly, that's what I said, and that's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happened, it was full of names I recognized anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known leaders of London's criminal underworld. Well, yeah, but there was one name at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? I'm pretty sure that date against it was the 31st October. Oh, the day before the Inspector was found dead. So, what was the odd name? It wasn't like a name I've seen before. It was something like... Nah, he's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, to put it that way. Oh dear. What a pity. There was something else too, I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but... Asa Shin. Did you say Shin? Eh? What does it mean? Will it mean something? Lord Van Zeeks knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. What's going on? We haven't seen you for a while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating that. The lads at the yard are trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before, that would be the undercover investigation into the Red Headley then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some cub what was pretending to be a Ninja Otter. Yes, it was Mr. Vigil who actually went to the park on Lime Street that day posing as Redson. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. I got my own way to get results. When me and my partners get together, there's nothing we can't track down. Oh, little Toby, faithful friend.
So, have you tracked anything down?
Down then? What do you think, eh? Also, yeah, can't tell you the police visiting it. Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need help, you know who to turn to, right? Me and my L-Hound, yeah. Right, because you look so hellish, honestly. Gina, about your Hellhound there. Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? It's the pride of a force, is it? Is it? Yes. In Japan, police dog means something quite different, and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems, for a canine at least. It should be, after all, in the Great Exhibition case the other day. It was Toby here who managed to locate Trevor's workshop. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what the Super Dog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder?
Take that!
Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. Chief Inspector said wolf to that, although, yes, I heard. I think perhaps that particular item didn't excite him very much. Ain't you got nothing else? You get out there? I'll think I have. Wait. You want to see another demonstration of it didn't even know there? Well, we're trying to trace Inspector Gregson's movements, so... Come on, Aldo, we got him.
Take that!
Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this... He might be a little too keen, don't you think? The Chief Inspector made short work of Cheetah there. Look where he's gone to. Oh my, that trunk clearly still has a very strong scent. Oh, Inspector Gregson. In other words, it must have belonged to him. Alright, it's fair cop, I suppose. And he nearly got away with it too. Or, you always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it could achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer hit, wasn't it? That's enough now, Gina. Eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. It weren't like that. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through your head, yours, but that ain't what happened. Alright then. What did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby here have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. And as soon as I done that, he went up like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. To a sandwich, not no packet of chips. Mr. Naruhodo, I believe Gina means the witness. Mr. Sandwich. Beppo. I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he had it hidden between the two wooden boards of the boss's trunks. Huh? You mean when they heard the sound of like a gunshot and all powered in here? Exactly. They nabbed it from the state. Goodness. Me and the Chief Inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said? I thought like such a good prize, and the chap wouldn't be needing any more. So that's all I did, nothing more, nothing less. What you had to make the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime then. How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent truck, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is there something wrong with that, eh? Well, can we have a look at it, please? Maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try and find the answer to that question together. Can we please have a look at it, though? I think perhaps the trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you think? What are you on about? I am the police. Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make a detailed report of our examination of the evidence. Alright. Let's see. Why is there a scratch on this? Have you seen this huge gash across the side of the trunk here? It's gone right through the leather and into the metal behind. Gosh, for a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged, whatever's made the gash must have stuck to the side of the trunk with considerable force. I wonder how it happened. What? Look at this dark stain here. Do you think? Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood. I knew you were going to say that. So that presumably means that this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. It's the most logical conclusion, yes. To think Gina's been carrying this around with her. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. Okay, let's open this. Let's have a look inside. Ooh, look, there's something inside. Ooh, let's see. It appears to be a passport, authorizing him to travel overseas. Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh, what is it? It was travel of... like... 31st of October, one day before the incident. What? Really? Yep, he was going to France. Wait, Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered? Like or he was going to, at least. We should probably have to look at this. ACDC, Dunkirk, France, police business, permission for the applicant, and one additional person to travel. He was going to take Gina to France. What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Mr. Otto, be careful. It must be the trunk. That is legitimately terrifying. Oh, Dobby, oh, what are you doing? You knock his face off! Mr. Otto, need to quickly hail a carriage! Are we okay? Are we okay? That's literally one of my nightmares. Like, one of my nightmares. And it, like, right there. Just a dog jumping up at me and barking in my face. Oh, Mr. Hart, are you alright? Mr. Sato. Conscious again at last. A blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after a moderate licking by a small terrier. Most unseemly. What is or isn't seemly is irrelevant here, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so close to lasting damage. How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you. Did you bring me back here? What's this on my head? A bandage? Sadly, we had no ice. So that's a compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruto. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh, thank you. So let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. The bump of my head is throbbing sweetly enough. Don't worry. Whenever you're ready, then. Hey, Sholmes. Hey, thank you for your concern, Mr. Sholmes. My dear fellow, think nothing of it. I must say I was quite startled when I heard that you've been attacked by a dog. For a moment, I feared the infamous murderer or saw he come back from the dead. You mean the professor? Fortunately, I see your prized throat is unscathed. That stiff, turned-up color of yours obviously afforded some welcome protection. Was I that close to death? All I really remember was the dog licking my face over and over again. Well, if you wish to avoid such troubles in future, a little mustard spread on the cheeks should do the trick. Good to know. I should think that would balance the sweetness of your bandage rather splendidly. Is that all? And Iris is still not here.
Mit dem Schwarzbierch-Gebot, brodelnd wie ein Feuerberg, den Schlund es mir
What?
verbrannt, ach Hopfen deine Wut.
What on earth is going on here? Am I having a bad dream? No, it's an old German folk song. Rather a fine rendition, I think. That's the least of my concerns. Iris? Iris, what's the matter? Oh no. Who is that that relaxed gentleman over there? Iris, is she listening?
Mit dem Schwarzbierch-Gebot, brodelnd wie ein Feuerberg, den Schlund es mir verbrannt, ach
I
Hopfen
need to know. I need to ask Monk about this song.
mit dem Knacker.
Excuse me, sir. I do apologize for troubling you whilst singing so merrily, but would you be kind enough to explain the situation? Well, that works. A crooning gentleman and a mute young girl. A rather tantalizing juxtaposition. And one that appears to incite the gods of deduction within me to find their voices too. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Oh boy. The strains of reasoning within me are playing now as a delightful duet. One melody sings a reunion full of nostalgia, whilst the other is a morose theme about the great secret that you're trying so desperately to conceal, Iris. She's turned as white as a sheet. So as usual, you've instantly seen the very heart of the matter. And by the time my own brief performance is over, I feel this gentleman's song will reach its finale. So then, to Music Land, where all is sweetness and delicacy and harmony. Pray, do enjoy her like Sholmes. Sholmes' great latest Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Her mit dem
Okay. Now I found translation of it and can research it on my own time. All right, let's get back to this. Firstly, we consider this gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language. as evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when asked to desist. So, why is the man here at all and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to reveal that particular part of this mystery. The reason for this man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. You obviously offered our German guest a cup of your latest herbal blend. The tea's delectable flavor had made the man's spirits soar, and resulted in this joyous ditty tumbling incessantly from his lips. I eagerly await sampling the flavor myself, that I may join the fellow in his state of elation. Now to the next question. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of this tea? It's Mikitoba. It's Professor Mikitoba. As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ormstein, the King of Germany. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there could be no question. That mask belongs to the King of Germany. It's Cosmo's mask. It would appear that His Majesty remembers the fine service I afforded him, and has decided to show his face again, mask and all, in order to express his gratitude. A well-mannered monarch indeed. Wouldn't you agree, my dear fellow? So the identity of the masked visitor is in fact my former client, the King of Germany. Indeed, his son is currently in London as well, enjoying the wonders of the Great Exhibition. Sholmes, please! Sholmes, please! Sholmes, please! Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is to steal aside that knapsack. A £5 note, I believe. I must say, as your compatriot, I am deeply saddened. It would appear that you allowed yourself to be bribed into silence by His Royal Highness, lending yourself some spending money in exchange for keeping quiet about the King's secret. And now the... She's so cute. And now the final piece of the puzzle. What is the secret you strive to hide with your silence, Iris? Ah, yes. We need only follow that brief involuntary twitch of your eyes to find the answer. You are attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. My favorite coffee cup, in fact. Or should I say, the handle of my favorite coffee cup. It appears that his high-spirited highness broke it in the midst of his hijinks. Which leads us to the sad truth. My favorite cup of coffee was broken by the King of Germany, and Iris, you tried to conceal from me! I shall have a bill sent via governmental channels to the German royal family for his replacement. Oh, poor guy! Poor. This concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this painful puzzle.
Den Schlund es mir verbrannt, ach Hopfen deine Wut.
Okay, bring me
Mit dem
I demanded, seething like a volcano, burn my gullet, oh hopes your rage. Bring me a knack worst I commanded, hard like a diamond it broke my tooth in two, oh bore your range. Bring the Scheifels I vowed, and at the first stroke, its strings all snapped and owed to rage.
Und auf den ersten Streich alle Seiten des Zerriss wie Ode an die Wut. Her mit
And then it
dem
loops.
Schwarzbiergebot.
I need to ask Monk about this and see if there's like any, cause if there's actually more meaning to this song that I as a as a simple American can't understand. With your silence as well, the fellow's jovial warbling rather sings in the ears, doesn't it? Mr. Sholmes, I must say something does seem rather trouble me. Pray, Mrs. Toto, what do you tell? His Royal Highness doesn't appear to have moved a muscle since we first arrived. Ah, and you haven't said a word either, Iris. If Mr. Sholmes has it right, you might as well own up to it now. Jeez. Your reasoning isn't entirely without substance, I must admit. And one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Yet another grievance, Mr. Naruto? Surely not. Well, I actually read the story of that case recently, the one you were describing, and according to that at least, it wasn't the King of Germany, it was the King of Bohemia. Goodness, was it? Yes, that's quite true, Master Gotz. The prince testified to that in court. In his words, I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I would ask you to keep that minor error to yourselves. It could easily become quite a scandal. I believe, Mr. Naruto, that it's our turn to make some corrections to a number of minor errors that may have slipped in. Yes, even Mr. Sholmes is willing to admit he might be slightly wide on the mark this time, although it's clear that Iris is definitely hiding something. We need to find the truth behind this mysterious scene. One truth is incontrovertible. My favorite coffee cup is no more. So, shall we embark again? On a joint presentation of Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Alright, man. Oh. Speaking of the devil, Monk is playing Castlevania. Firstly, we consider this man's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language, as evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when has to desist. So why is the man here at all, and in such apparently high spirits? He must be a ventriloquist. Iris is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. The reason for the man's merely irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. So what, it's some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing? Goodness, I should like to try some. I mean, I'll have what he is having. And I like to hear your singing, but this man, how long does he intend to keep up with that tune? Do you suppose, as I said, he's been stuck still this entire time, and if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either. So I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing, but I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze. The man's crotch, obviously. It's the gramophone. Well, the cup's empty, that's for sure. So I suppose this mysterious gentleman must have drunk the contents. Iris' special blends are quite delicious, I agree. They always make my heart sing, so I can understand wanting to vocalize those feelings, certainly. In fact, Mr. Naruto, you obviously erupted boisterous laughter after drinking Iris' tea. I do? Maybe I should take some lighter laughter lessons from Sasato in the near future. Also, what? We know this mask. Oh, you're right. So, does that mean... No, surely not. It couldn't be. Could it? No, it's most definitely not him. Oh no, of course it's not. Thank goodness. But then, why is this gentleman not wearing it? I'm afraid once again, I really have no idea. Do you guys not recognize your... Like, Susanna, do you not recognize your own father? Wait, this is a gramophone. Still rarely seen in our own country. The sound certainly appears to be coming from the horn. But machines singing? That can't be right. Science and technology are changing the world rapidly, Mr. Naruto. What's right is changing too. It's too much for my brain. Well, at least we found our answer. But I'm curious why, like... I'm gonna... No. I really want to know. I'm just curious.
Take that!
I've encountered somebody else whose behavior became strange indeed while wearing this, because this particular mask has some curious power to corrupt people's minds. And exactly what happened to this gentleman? Then I would say it calls for demonstration, my dear fellow. What? Pray, put on the mask. And show us what peculiar things it makes you do. You have us on the edge of our seats. Sorry, I'm far too shy. Okay, that was great. It does get inside your head after a time, doesn't it? But is he really singing it? You're right, and if you look closely, the man's mouth is open, but his lips aren't moving at all. He's a ventriloquist. This gentleman couldn't be a word, could he? Could it? One step at a time, Mr. Naruto. Let's identify the source of the singing first. I thought that was an insightful suggestion!
Take that!
The reason for the man's mildly irritated warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, for no well-bred gentleman would break into an obscure folk song when making a social call. I really want to know if that song has any meaning that makes this scene a bit more interesting. I don't know. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all, in fact. It would appear the fellow is unconscious. The music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Naruto. Yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Well, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the satay? If we know it's... As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. It required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his double identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. This gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottfried Sigmund von Ornstein, the King of Germany. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question this man belongs to the King of Germany. Although we've already established that it was actually the King of Bohemia, it seems Mr. Sheldon persist with his Germany theory for some reason. I have to think that the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotts? The boy whom you had in tears? Don't remind me, or anyone else. Do you suppose all members of the aristocracy of mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do, well, probably. Anyway, the point is, the mask doesn't belong to any king. No, that's right. That's what we know. Well, no, because we can identify the true owner of this mask. Yeah, it's...
Take that!
It's Kazuma's mask. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to Kazuma Asagi. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could try to make that sound positive. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on his metal chest for several days, though that doesn't explain why the gentleman is wearing it now. But it is now a simple matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We only need to excuse ourselves in advance. Gently lift the mask and peer beneath it. It's Mikitoba. It's Professor Mikitoba. Come on. I don't believe it. Ah! Father! I'm afraid, Mr. Sato, you must be mistaken. No! I think not, Mr. Sholmes. Then it would appear our logic and reasoning have once again revealed the truth. The mysterious visitor is my unconscious father, Yuji Mikitoba. Logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying? So, about the girl's silence. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside the knapsack. So that's a 5-pound note poking out from Iris' knapsack, is it? Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money we encounter is in coin form. I know, I'm not even sure if there's any banknotes here in Britain at all, have we? But anyway, Father would never have paid money for Iris' silence. He certainly seems a silent type himself, though, judging by his present state. There must be some reason for Iris' silence, I suppose. Perhaps what Iris is trying so hard not to give away with her eyes is something entirely different. Now I think about it, Iris always wears that little bag of her on her back, doesn't she? Yes, that's right. Although it's easy to forget it because you can't see it from the front. There are two little felt dolls attached to it as well. Are there? I have no idea. I don't remember ever seeing them before. Is it possible there's always a 5-pound note poking from her bag, just that I just haven't noticed before? I couldn't say that to absolute certainty, but I think it's unlikely. Yeah, the metal chest has been opened. She looked inside the chest. Metal chest contains important documents, doesn't it? Yeah, she opened the chest to look inside, to find Van Zeke's document. Yes, details of the cases Mr. Sholmes has worked on over the years, written up by Iris' father, if I'm remembering correctly. Iris insists that the chest is kept locked at all times. She's never once shown me inside. Well, its contents were valuable to her, I suppose, and entirely irreplaceable. But look at it now. The catch is unlocked, for once. Ah, so it is. That's hard to ignore. Very. I've never seen that chest unlocked before, in all the time we've been staying here at Baker Street.
Take that!
Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation. Upon further closer inspection, there is something about the chest's appearance. It's kept locked at all times, yet now the catch is open. Evidently, this is something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. But a simple enough matter to incite you to speak, I'm sure. I merely need to open this chest. Here we go. No! Don't! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes, hurry! So that's what happened. He's dead. Never! Oh, Hurley, I told you not to open it. Ah, so you found your voice now, Iris. In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is... This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform with Mr. Sholmes, isn't it? Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm going to have to dance this next part solo. Anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this, for my own peace of mind. Now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, So, you mean you don't actually know the answer yet, despite the knowing point of the finger before? Mrs. Hutto, sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think later! Oh, well, if you say so. I think we better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then. So wait, did Mikotoba just open, did he actually open the case? Or, he must have opened the case then. For some reason, this knapsack is really standing out as suspicious to me today. Oh, is it? It's quite sizable enough for a sizable secret. That's what I say. Perhaps it is, but we certainly can't open it up to look inside without Iris' permission. No, you're right. Who knows what might pop out and punch us? That's the key she's holding. Look, I'm sure that wasn't in her hands before, wasn't it? No, you're quite right. It appeared as if by magic. That's strange. A big old iron key. Where did it materialize from? Wait, why is the skirt... Wait... Iris always dresses in these frilly clothes, doesn't she? I've always thought the skirt is rather delightful. It's pretty sizable with all those frills, sizable enough for a sizable secret. You seem to be rather fond of that idea, but you certainly can't go investigating further. Does it look like that's what I was thinking?
Take that!
I have to know. This is definitely illegal, but clearly the reason you've said nothing at all this time, Iris, is because you're hiding something in your frilly skirt, and what sizable frills they are for a sizable secret. A typical answer of yours, my dear fellow, being wide of the mark by sizable margin. Mrs. R, what are you? Well, you've been left alone on the dance floor, as you say, so I'm trying to fill Mr. Sholmes' shoes. Well, you've certainly captured the cutting sarcasm. Oh, of course, I nearly forgot. You really did need to capture that part, though. Wonderful to hear Iris' voice again. No, we haven't been using these other saves. It's just a shame it took Mr. Sholmes being thrown across the room to make it happen. Oh, well, that gives me an idea. If we threw you across the room as well, she might talk some more. Iris made a sudden movement just before she spoke that's playing on my mind. I think we better have another look around. Well, trying not to be too rude by staring at her. Yes, do try to be sensitive, Mr. Naruto. Yes, staring at a 10-year-old is definitely not a good idea.
Take that!
Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. Now, Mr. Sholmes was thrown into the air before. Just before you called out to try to stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. That something is the key just now in your hand, no doubt. The key to the chest. Wait, she hid it in her mouth? So clever, Runo. Now it becomes clear. Thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration, we can well imagine what happened here. But Professor Mikotoba also opened this metal chest only to be punched into the air and land sprawled on the settee. But wait, that doesn't explain all the facts. What about the stylish scarf and the cup of tea? Above all, why would he be wearing Cosmo-sama's mask? Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly, an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. Isn't that right, Iris? Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. When Professor Mikotoba opened the chest, he completely unaware of what awaited him inside. The mask was flung into the air just as he was, only to land neatly on his face when it fell back down. And the teacup's journey through the air ended when it caught on the unconscious, through the air ended when it caught on the unconscious professor's finger. You mean to say that the stylish scarf is actually just a tablecloth? This is the Great Detective's office, after all, a place of miraculous deductions. Would you expect anything less? Yes, you're right. It happened exactly as you said. I need that part saved. Brilliant, Runo. Thus concludes Ryunosuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. So then why don't I make a fresh pot of tea for all of us?
Objection!
An admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo. But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. Mr. Sholmes, you would cast your mind back to my earlier deduction. Iris, clearly you're hiding some great secret. Huh? She is? From the look on her face. Mr. Sholmes must be right. Whatever the great secret is, the cat isn't out of the bag yet. So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. What? Sholmes! It's really a shame about Mr. Sholmes' cup. It must have been smashed when Professor Mikitola opened the chest. Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here. But now the deduction has taken a different direction. Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore. In other words, her great secret is something else. Let's put our observational skills to work here in one more final time, then. Hey, Miracle. It's Mr. Sholmes' favorite cup, or what's left of it. Just the handle. It's obviously hurled into the air with Professor Mikitoba. If only this cup would come into his finger before it hit the floor. Yes, but anyway, whatever Iris is trying to hide is clearly not this handle. Okay, it's clearly the knapsack. It's clearly the knapsack. Surely this time at last the knapsack is going to be the answer. I'm really not sure why you're intent on showing Iris' bag to be complicit in these events. Because it's a sizable bag, big enough for sizable, big enough to carry things around, Mr. Naruhodo. That's what bags are for. And so the knapsack might never see the limelight, you mean? I really wouldn't like to say. And is the skirt like selectable again? I hope not. Okay, it's not. Good. It's totally the knapsack. Totally the knapsack. If Iris was attempting to sneak away with something else, then she must be hiding it somewhere. And as far as I can tell, there's really nowhere else she could conceal anything but in that bag. Perhaps you'll allow me to offer an opinion here? As far as I can tell, much like that bag, your deduction doesn't hold water, my dear fellow. I wasn't suggesting she was trying to make off with a bag full of water. Indeed, that would be madness. Unless that bag was milk. Or the milk bag. Or, I don't know. We were very nearly taken into complicity completely by Iris then, weren't we? It's rather charming that you could be deceived by a 10-year-old girl, I think. I don't think it was only me. No, you're right. I think what Iris is hiding must be extremely important somehow. Don't you? Yes. We're so close now. We take deductions within our grasp. I'm sure. I'm still curious as to what would happen if you actually if you actually, like, use up all your strikes in one of these deductions, but whatever. Ah, look, there seems to be more papers there. Is Iris trying to hide them underneath the tray? Then the insignia, Mr. Naruhodo, it's the official Scotland Yard document. What? But why would Iris have... We must ask her. An official Scotland Yard document. Naughty, naughty.
Take that!
You were attempting to abscond with that case file. Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective. Oh no. And here we have we have a bunch of grown adults. Like we have a few grown adults bullying a child. Great. We visited Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory earlier today, and Dr. Gorey informed us that the autopsy report of Clit Van Zeeks has gone missing. Clit Van Zeeks. Yes, I do seem to recall. that some years ago I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? You mean it was with you, Iris? So those papers you have there are... I'm sorry. Forgive me. Oh. 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 Elementary. Alright, well, we solved that mystery at least. In truth, I would like to have I would like to have thought that I could predicted the booby-trapped chest. But I caught me completely off guard. I was very nearly the late consulting Detective Sherlock Holmes. I'm sorry, Hurley. So you mean this autopsy report really is... Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important. Was there something in it that troubled you, Iris? Oh, not exactly something that troubled me. Something I've been looking for. And I saw this report, and I saw the writing in it. I knew it was Daddy's. The writing? Your father's writing? What do you really mean? Iris, it must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes, what is it? Not now! I feel as though the poor exotic gentleman on the city has been somewhat forgotten. Father! Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruto, yes? Would you be so kind to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll help you carry him up. So will I. No, I can manage alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris's brew to stew. Because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like a trunk. I wonder, perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Shaw was making himself scarce to give Iris a chance to talk more freely. Oh, let's use this opportunity to talk with Iris. What's going on? My eye is always drawn to this big metal chest Mr. Schultz and Iris uses at the coffee table. Isn't it where Iris keeps her very important papers? I'm doing well. I'm doing well, actually. It is. So you'd think that they'd treat it with more care, really. But only the other day I saw Mr. Sholmes kick it. Oh no. I suppose something must have been frustrating him. What a shame to mistreat the furniture, though. Was it damaged? The chest was fine, but Mr. Sholmes was doubled up on the floor for almost 10 minutes. Oh dear, that is a painful tale. Did she change? Okay, it's still the same as before. Iris' pretty little tea set is out beautifully as ever. Look. Well, it's only by carefully taking care of the tea set that you can make the tea. Is that a roundabout way of telling me I need to tidy up my desk? Oh, Mr. Naruto, you could do overthink things at times. Okay, let's actually talk to her. It's been a long day, actually. Would you like to tell us about it, Iris, about your father? I'm sure I told you before, didn't I, that Daddy used to be Hurley's partner. Yes, and that notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest. That's right, Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet. That's one way of describing it. Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like. And that's only natural. You're just like any other girl of your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree too. Well, that's only natural, I suppose. In that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though. But there was one thing I could never find out. Daddy's name. His name wasn't anywhere on any of those notes that he made about his work with Hurley. But then one day, that's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right? Yes. So it was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye. Oh. Anyways, when I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know what that handwriting, I thought to myself, because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes. Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that was the first and last time we'd be allowed even to look at it there. He decided to steal it. When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same as his daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of the autopsy report read Dr. John H. Wilson. So that's how I finally found out. I learned Daddy's name at last. I see. Ever since then, I called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. I decided there that I'd write The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea the story that quite such a deep personal significance for you. I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. I must apologize, Iris. What? Oh, this is really all my fault. Really? I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father a secret. I know. I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report back to Dr. Glory and apologize, I promise. Yes, we'll go together, I think. But then, let me look after it for you until we get there. I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see y'all later. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still. What? How? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? Oh, dear me. So, you noticed, I see. But that would mean... What on earth? What's the matter, Mrs. Sato? You turned as white as a sheet. It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo. The one from 10 years ago. The writing isn't Dr. Rose's at all. Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? Because I know this writing very well. This writing is my father's. What? There's nothing to be Katoba's. Indeed, it's true. And now you know. My dear fellows? No, I don't know anything. What does this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly forming in my mind is too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. No way. No way. No, you gotta be kidding me. So this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Mikitoba then. But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely. Not possible, my dear fellow. Pray, take a deep breath and think again. Yes, you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense. It does? 10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. And prior to his return, Where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Of course! He was the assistant of Dr. Wilson in Dr. Wilson's laboratory, learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put a signature on the document. In other words, the only writing Dr. Wilson's in his report would be his signature at the end. I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson. Which is very understandable, of course. In a complicated situation. Oh boy! You know, I was just about thinking, don't tell me that. My first thought was like, wait, was Dr. Wilson not actually her father? Was it actually Mikotoba? Would that mean they're half sisters? Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. Yes, the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade, and the only person I could truly have called a friend. And did this partner of you truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madam. Absolutely. So, where's your partner now? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. Japan. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, and if the autopsy report was written, though not signed by your famous partner, there would only be one logical conclusion. Pray impress me. Your partner would have to be Yuji Mikotoba. Wait a minute, was I actually right? Yuji Mikotoba, in other words, Misasato's father. On my word, Mr. Nahato. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit the method upon a method at last. You finally grasp the art of deduction. You mean to say... Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Professor Mikotoba? Wait. John H. Wilson... So, then who was the John H. Wilson in Japan? Does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear fellow. I'm still my old self, Yuji Mikotoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Susanoo-san to take in. I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver, the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. And remind me, what was it again, Mikotoba? 16 years ago, Sholmes. Ah, yes, quite. 16 years ago. I just arrived from Japan with Seshiro and Genshin. I was in search of a lodging to post at the hospital, some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are definitely high in that particular area. That's right. So I decided I needed someone to share the lodgings at the expense. And I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a tallow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for a little game. That would explain why you would have some of those chemicals on you. And the situation of our prohibition led to us pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe. It was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikotoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous of cases presented itself. A case with which you become rather familiar with yourselves, the Professor killings. The Hounds of the Baskervilles. After the trial, Seshiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising, given the circumstances. So there you have it. As you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikitoba really is Mr. Sholmes' famous partner. But then, who was John H. Wilson? Father, goodness my dear, what a cutting look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you're the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I must ask you to explain now. And that is, you know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris' father. Of course, I almost forgot about that one. Who... I should have seen this coming, I suppose. Who is Iris' father? Iris told us that all the notes about the Great Detective's adventures are in that metal chest, were written by her father. Isn't that right, Mr. Sholmes? That is indeed what I told young Iris. But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris' father must be you. Upon my word, Mrs. Sato, you are coming along wonderfully as well. You too have the method upon the method at last. You'll finally grasp the art of deduction. What? What you've always told me, father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago, and you left me in grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all of this was about Iris. Oh, there it is. Sasada-san's ice-cold stare. No. Hold on a minute. It was very complicated. It's really not what you think. But perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is. There it is. Now the eyes go from ice cold to red hot. Just before. No. You've got the wrong end of the stick. Sholmes, say something bad. Square enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes, when did you get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mikitoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. But it's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go? Why, my dear madam, is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikitoba. The game is afoot. But Sholmes, I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow. Later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. You haven't changed one iota, haven't you? I mean, really. I visit home after 10 long years, and I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that wasn't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I'm plunged right into all this! Father, please, go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interests. I trust you, completely. Sasato, in setting the Great Detective and his great partner off on renewed adventures together, is more than I could have hoped for in my wildest dreams. Very well then, we'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. Yes, then, Hodo. Good luck in battle. And in reaching a decision about whether to go back to Japan, I suppose.
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself. It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth. And that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
Oh, we're not even going back to the trial. That's just the end of this chapter. Huh. Alright then. Well, in that case, the last part of the last part of next time we'll be beginning the final chapter of this whole saga. The resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Wow, holy cow though. This is gonna be really interesting. But I'm gonna settle some curiosity I have.
Take that!
Clearly, the reason you said nothing all this time, Iris, is something to do with what's in your knapsack. A sizable bag for a sizable secret. My dear fellow, you would appear to be rather caught into that again. Mrs. Sato, oh, what are you? Oh, you've been left alone on the dance floor, as you say, so I'm trying to fill in Mr. Solm's shoes. Very refreshing. Oh, well, of course. I nearly forgot. But holy cow! Holy cow, I'm still at a loss for words about this whole thing. About like who exactly was John H. Wilson? Like the man, there was a murder. Like the man was murdered.
Take that!
So what happens if I lose all my strikes during this? Oh, I could see nothing. Okay, so okay. It's literally just it's just a game over screen. Literally just a simple game over. Well, holy cow, I was not expecting this to take 3 hours. Was not expecting this whole part to take 3 hours, but we've reached this part. After a long stretch. So, why don't we find ourselves a raid target